Notice of this meeting was published in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Okay, and as usual, there will be no new business taken after 11 p.m. tonight, but anybody who's here at 11 is trespassing. Roll call, please.
Mayor McLaughlin, absent. Ms. Schneider?
Here.
Mrs. Kelly? Absent. Mr. McKay?
Here.
Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Mrs. Baggio?
Here.
Mrs. Tyndall?
Here.
Ms. Costco?
Here.
Mr. Levinson?
Here.
Mr. Silk? Absent. And Mr. Krollpfeifer?
Here. We have a quorum?
Yes.
Okay. Items for business, we have one case, 20-13, Dindale, am I pronouncing that right? Okay, LLC. Counselor Adams, you want to step forward? And you have, how many witnesses that will be testifying?
Just one.
Okay, we'll swear him in when it's his turn.
And I do have some drawings. I provided these, we put on the website, but I'll pass those around. So good evening, I'm John Adams from the John Adams Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of Bindell LLC in regards to a sign variance. By way of background, as you can see in my application, Bindell LLC is Country Farms out on Martin Highway. If you will look at my application and you'll go to Exhibit A, you'll see that they installed a sign. It says Country Farms, Fuel and More below that. The sign manufacturer considered that sign to be 91 square feet. However, your engineer, when he did it, he actually did the mathematics the correct way, and it is 75 square feet. The difference being, the sign manufacturer took the distance from the bottom of Fuel and More, went to the top of the letters, and then went 26 feet across, which is the whole area. So that's how he came up with 91 square feet. Your engineer, when he looked at it, he did it the correct way. He took the distance of the Country Farm letters, then he added the Fuel and More, and he came up with 75 square feet. I did the math, and it came up, his mathematics was correct. If you look at my Exhibit B, you'll see the old sign that replaced. You can obviously see it's a superior sign that he put out there. It's much more aesthetically pleasing, for the community. And it was a 45 square foot sign. Bindell LLC, and they'll testify to that when they get up here, purchased the property in 2012. All the signs were already present at the time they put them up, including this Country Farm sign that's on Exhibit B, which was 45 square feet. If you look at the exhibit that I just presented to you, this is from the people that actually made the sign, and you can see that the sign is 26 feet across. The Country Farms part is 2.5 feet in height, and then below that is a 10-foot by 1 foot Fuel and More sign. If you go to the next part of the exhibit, you'll see that the sign, if you look at the red item there, that red part is the fashing. When you look back at the other one, you'll see the red facade to the building. That's that red part. So you'll see that then the Country Farms projects out from that 14 inches at the top where it says you'll see the brace is 14. If you do the math, it's 1 inch per 1 feet. So you'll see at the very top that it projects out 18.5 feet from the building, and then it's a total. Again, you'll see the distances of everything on there. So unless there's any questions of me, I'm going to have Mr. Bedell do a little bit of testimony, but I don't think there's a lot here to testify to. Y'all ready to? Any questions of me before I have Mr. Bedell, Mr. Bhavesh Patel testify?
I would just, not a question, just make a comment and an acknowledgement. You made reference in it on your Exhibit C to the original application of Gallo Wine by way of comparison to what their sign is.
Yes, well, as I understand the facts here, that was the sign that unfortunately was looked at for somebody to determine the sign letters, and so the person who built the sign believed that that this sign was in compliance with the law. That was the only reason it's there. So that's for the sign he looked at. And then he, I guess he did not realize that across the street was a different zoning consideration.
Industrial.
Pardon?
Industrial.
Yes, it's industrial, so it's zoned differently. So the reason that's there is to show you that the sign basically is the same size as that sign. It's consistent with the area, but it is also what the guy who manufactured the sign looked at in figuring out what to put up there on the building. But as we all know now, unfortunately, that side of the road is not zoned industrial.
Mr. Adams, maybe this is a question for Mr. Patel, but I'll ask you and you can deal with it. It looks to me like in addition to the actual sign, Country Farms, Fuel and More, there's actually going to be a replacement of the shingle roof from, I would say, some sort of rough shingle, wooden shingles for the most part, to this red tin roof, or standing seam roof. And is that correct?
I'm going to have to ask Mr. Patel that because that's the first I've heard of that. So, Mr. Patel, you come up here and I have to swear you in here. Okay.
Mr. McKay, do you mind if I make a comment on that at this point?
No, happy to move it along.
Okay. So, this building, the roof, I believe it's the mansard roof, if I'm correct, maybe not. But that roof line was exactly, and I have a picture back from the very early 80s. That roof line was exactly the same. And they came to the township and got permits for that. To put that up, it was just a different material, but it is the exact same size, height, width, however you want to deem it, as the other one. The other one was just in such horrible shape that they came to me,
Right.
and they got a permit to basically reface that, again, in the same size, same location. And that was quite a few years ago.
Right. And so is this another reface in effect, or are we just adding the Country Farms sign over top of the existing red roof, newish red roof?
Correct. The sign is the only thing that he is in violation for with me on the front of the building, the facade.
Right. Right. All right. Well, you're going to swear your owner, your witness in. I'll ask him the rest of my questions.
Okay, so raise your right hand.
Yeah, this is
Swear
already
to tell the
got-
truth,
it's
the whole truth,
already
nothing but
done.
the truth, so be God.
Yeah, yeah.
I swear, sir.
Oh, sorry, I was. Go ahead.
Swear or affirm the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
So, Mr. Patel, you're the owner of Bendel?
Yes.
And that is known as Country Farms? Yes. And in regard to the exhibit that I presented to them, this document here, where did you get that document from?
Contractor.
You have to let them hear what you said there, so.
The contractor sent me that.
Okay, so this is the drawings for the signs?
Yes.
That you're on there? And did you measure the distance from the ground to the bottom where it says fuel and more?
Yes.
And what is that distance?
Exactly, this is 10 feet and something exactly. 10 feet 4 inch.
And to the top of the Country Farms part, what is that distance?
14 feet 1 inch.
And when did you purchase that property?
I think 2012.
And Everything else on that property is exactly the same as it was when you purchased it? I mean, all the signs, is that correct? Other than, yep.
Everything was like come with the building, the whole sign and all.
Okay, in this, Country Farms is on Marno Highway?
Correct.
Okay, in the sign that you put up, which says Country Farms Fuel and More, that faces the highway?
Yes.
Are there any houses on the other side of that highway?
No, it's fine.
Okay, and to the left and right of you, to a little bit distance, there's the houses and then there's tavern and table, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do y'all have any questions, Mr. Patel?
Yeah, just to follow up, Mr. Patel, the Country Farms wording, does that light up either from internal lighting or from some outside light on it?
Inside light.
Yeah, it's
Inside light.
inside illuminated, yes.
Okay. And the Fuel and More, I suppose that lights up too?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, is there any way to describe in some standard measurement, the amount of light that's been given off there? Is it,
I think the best way to describe that is the previous sign was already illuminated, that was 45 square inches, and if you actually look at the signs.
Square feet, I assume.
If you looked at my exhibits, you'll see that the other sign probably gave off more illumination, because that entire sign was illuminated. Here, only the letters are being illuminated, and they cut the lights off when they close.
Thank you for anticipating my next question. So you have cutoffs.
Pardon?
You have cutoffs for these signs, so when
We close the store.
okay, and this store, I mean, some of these convenience stores are open 24/7, but others aren't. What are the hours?
Right now we close 9 o'clock.
Yeah, but that's not their normal hours, so what is
Now
your,
10 o'clock.
Yeah, wipe away pandemic, assume no pandemic.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
And the
And you'd
weekend is
open,
9 o'clock.
when you open when in the morning?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock to 10 o'clock?
Correct.
We didn't have a pandemic, okay. All right, is this sign already up?
yes, sir, as I said,
Yeah, okay.
unfortunately, the contractor believed the sign was in permit, and it was not. Mr. Patel unfortunately relied on the expertise of a contractor, and had the sign put up. Kathy Newcomb saw the sign, came, they did the permit and stuff, but of course it was outside of the scope, so that's when Mr. Patel contacted me, and we put in for the variance.
Okay, and then just to confirm what our zoning officer said, that the red mansard style standing seam roof, that goes around all three sides?
Only 2 sides.
2 sides, the front and
On a side.
the north side, I guess it would be.
Yeah, that's the side that faces that road, and I don't know the name of that road, but
Right.
there is a road right there. Delaware, it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you, no further questions. I don't have any further.
Anybody in the front row have a question?
Yes. So, hi, Mr. Patel. I kind of look at the sign itself in the evening time, and my question is there going to be any additional lighting, apart from what I saw the other night?
At the sign and the parking lot.
Yeah, the sign, the letters are going to remain lighted as they are, and there's not going to be any additional lighting?
You're not adding any more lights?
No, not at all.
Okay. Have you had any concerns from the house that's across the street on the right-hand
Never,
side?
no.
I wonder if they're here tonight? So there's no concern from them? All right, and I know the other side, there's quite a distance, I think, to the tavern, so.
And there's a little bit of shrubbery over there too, on the right, on the south side of the
The south side?
No.
Or would that be the east?
east side. The east side as you go further towards Costco.
Across the, well, right at the end, right where the edge of the property bumps up against you, see all around.
Yep.
I did look at that, there wasn't a whole lot of shrubbery there, but again, if the person who owns that property isn't here, and it hasn't been a problem before, and as you say, the lighting's kind of less than it was.
And it does project towards Marne Highway. It doesn't project to the
I
sides.
did notice that. That was my only concern, is whether it would be more lighting than what the board.
Yeah. I've been by that and I saw the sign. I don't see much difference in lighting between the two signs. And I said, I think that, when I looked at it, I said, okay, well, I think that's because the other sign being 45 square inches and the entire sign being lit up, and then you've got just letters being lit up, and I think that that's that might be the difference of why it looks about the same.
I thought it was just fine myself, so.
Mr. Taylor, do you have any comments? I know I read your letter, but is there anything else?
No, if the board has any questions, we can clarify the relief. So it does appear that they would require the variances to permit the internally illuminated signs where they're not permitted, to permit a total facade sign area of 75 square feet where a maximum of 12 is permitted, and to permit a maximum height of the facade signs of, I believe the testimony was 14 feet 1 inch.
That's correct, so it's I don't remember what it was there, but it's like a foot.
Where 12 feet,
Yep.
maximum 12 feet is permitted.
And I would point out that the old sign was actually higher than the new sign. The old sign went to the top of the roof. This sign is a couple inches below the roof level.
Anybody else?
Are the full canopy signs new also?
No.
But they were all existing?
Yes, sir. Yes,
No,
sir.
and then one of our other recommendations they've already addressed in terms of extinguishing the lighting after hours.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You have a pole sign there where it has the price of gas. Is that sign there taken into account, the total square footage of allowed signs?
I'm not sure which sign you're
Yes.
that's not part of of this sign. That's the,
But is that a total of the square footage?
Right, Mr.
allowed?
Wagner, that pole has been there literally since the 80s. The only thing that they did, which is a permitted from us, is that if they're using that box and not changing the size of that square or box, basically it's a slip-in. So that's not part of, the only issue that he is here for is for the facade sign.
And that other sign is an existing non-conforming sign. If he were to ever reconstruct that or enlarge that, he would have to come back to the board for a variance. So let your sign company know that. If you ever have to change any of the signs,
we're not going to do this again, I promise. I now see the sign you're referring to in your drawing, Mr. Wagner.
Will there be any signage on the gas pump area?
Mr. Wagner, there was, before it was a different gas company, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
There had always been canopy around that with the signs. They changed exactly the same size that had always been there, just to a different name. At that point, I didn't feel that that was an issue in regards to making him come here. And again, that was years ago. Really, this is the only one that is not correct. The other ones were all part of the existing, and Country Farms has been there. I have this file back from the late 70s.
It was Cumberland Farms before, I think, was it?
Correct,
Yes.
and they didn't even have gas. When it first started, it didn't have a gas station.
Right. In the effort of full disclosure, I've been to the property, not only just to this application, I go there regularly, and Mr. Patel, you've done a nice job upgrading it. I just would say, if you're going to do any more upgrades, let Mrs. Newcomb know about it, so.
He's well aware of that.
Now,
He is, sir.
okay, now, I just want to clarify something, Counselor. Are you saying Bindale, like as in B as in boy, or D?
Okay, I'm gonna confess to something. I have a hard time hearing vowels and then having them come out my mouth correctly.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have Mr.
They are,
It's D.
D is a dog.
Okay. No, the only reason I'm asking is because we ultimately have to have a resolution, and I wouldn't want it to come through incorrect.
Oh, it's correct in the spelling
Okay.
that I wrote.
That's good.
That part I can do well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just like to comment, I did notice the change, and I think it's been a substantial improvement since Mr. Patel purchased the property, and that's what we like to see, upgrades. So does anybody else have any questions, comments?
I'd like to make one statement for the record, is that the Gala wines, that is not a permitted sign in the industrial park by ordinance. They came back in the 70s, and they had a variance for that sign as well.
Okay. And I guess it has an E on it now, too. Wine?
Yeah.
At one time.
Yeah. Okay. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll close public comment. Board members, what's your pleasure? Need a motion and a second to approve or reject the application.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay.
Can I add to the motion one condition? And that is that the motion include the agreed cutoff period for the lights so that they run 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and the sign is turned off outside of those hours?
No, not 6 to 10 p.m.
6
to
excuse
10.
me, 6,
A.m.
well, I guess it's 6 a.m. they turn them on, right?
Correct.
And they turn them off at 10 p.m.?
10 p.m., yes, sir.
10 p.m., okay. So they're on all day, even if it isn't dark out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I would add the cutoff of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. To the motion, if that's accepted by the maker of the motion.
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
And I believe Mrs. Kelly seconded?
Second, yes,
Great,
that's
okay.
fine.
All right, any questions on the motion? If not, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Baggio?
Yes.
Mrs. Tyndall?
Yes.
Ms. Costco?
Yes.
And Mr. Profiter?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next order of business, we have 2 resolutions.
Minutes.
Minutes. We have to do
Um,
Minutes from last meeting.
What was it, did I?
Minutes.
Minutes, the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yes, the minutes for the August 5th meeting. Need a motion and a second.
I make a motion that we accept and file the minutes from August 5th, 2020.
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mrs. Baggio?
Yes.
Ms. Tyndall?
Yes.
Ms. Costco?
Yes.
Mr. Profiter?
Yes. Now we can do resolutions. Resolution 2020-13 for Hupkey batteries. Need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2020-13 for Hopkey batteries.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions on the motion? If not, roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mrs. Baggio?
Yes.
Mrs. Tyndall?
Yes.
Ms. Costco?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
And Mr. Profiter?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Really?
have to tell you that a hot air balloon touched down behind that on Sunday, and Santa Claus hopped out.
Do you have a resolution for that?
I don't know. I don't know if they had a permit either.
Okay, Resolution 2020-14 pertains to a different Mr. Patel. Need a motion and a second on that?
Make a motion to accept resolution
2020-14, right?
2020-24.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tyndall?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mrs. Baggio?
Yes.
Ms. Costco?
Yes.
And Mr. Profiter?
Yes.
Why am I not being called?
Because you weren't here for those resolutions, you can vote on them.
Correspondence, we have numerous items of correspondence. Need a motion to accept correspondence and file?
I make a motion that we accept the correspondence.
Second.
Okay, any questions on the motion? If not, roll call, please.
Mrs. Baggio?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes,
Mrs. Tyndall?
Yes.
Ms. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
And Mr. Frostberg?
Yes. I'd like to make one comment. In the correspondence, there's a lot of stuff about the church.
Yes.
That property's fine, it's finished and it looks beautiful down
It
there.
does.
Really a
Really
nice,
does.
we did a nice upgrade with their money to that area.
Yeah, could I, well, when you get time to professional comments, I have a question.
Before that or after? After?
During, when you get to that.
Okay, well, we're professional comments. Mr. Taylor?
Mr. Taylor, how's Bobcat, Garden State Bobcat coming along?
They're making their way through the resolution compliance process. They submitted once, they addressed the majority of the comments identified by the board and the conditions. They do have to resubmit and address a number. It usually doesn't get satisfied the first time, but they are making progress.
They're moving forward.
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Have any other comments?
That was an easy question, by the way. I was a little frightened.
No.
I always throw softballs.
Mr. Kingsbury?
no comment.
Nothing? Mrs. Newcomb?
No, none at all, thank you.
Okay. We're at board comments. What's your pleasure? Anybody have something they'd like to comment on?
I guess we should thank Lee.
I was
Yes.
getting there.
Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
But that's all right, if you could thank her too, I'm going to thank her. No, there are two people who are leaving the Joint Land Use Board, and I'd like to thank them. Our deputy mayor has been on this year, and Mr. Levinson is about to join the Township Committee the first of the year, so he'll be going off. But I want to thank both of you for your service, as well as everyone else. And a reminder, the January reorganization meeting will start at 6:30, and we will go right into the regular business meeting after that.
What's
So we
the
don't
date
have to-
for that?
Pardon?
What's the date?
Date.
The date?
6th, I think it is.
January 6th.
It's later, it's later in the month. I think it's the 6th. Are you looking it up? I won't have to, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Yes, it's the 6th.
Okay.
6? Okay. Any other comments from the board members? No? Any comments from the public? Thank you for coming. Oh, okay, please step forward.
My name's Eileen Dixie. I live at 120 Masons Woods Lane, and I just wanted to find out if there's any more progress on the property behind us. On Creek Road, there was supposed to be affordable housing.
I think I know what you're talking about, that club that's going to be selling the property
Yeah.
off. Does
Anybody?
anybody have an answer? I know nothing about it, other than it's rumors that something's supposed, it hasn't come here.
Okay,
I suspect, because they came before the Environmental Commission, that whoever was interested in that property was doing their research ahead of time to see if it was going to pass environmentally.
okay.
But no, to my knowledge, nothing has come I know nothing has come before the Land Use Board,
Okay,
and I don't think it's come before the committee, but I don't know anything.
No.
nobody knows anything.
Within 200 feet of the property,
Yeah,
so you will definitely get notice.
okay,
That public notice, everyone within 200 feet is required.
right,
So you will definitely get a certified letter when and if they make some application before the board.
okay. And it would be put on, like, the agenda for a meeting, I guess, if they come before the board? Okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Now I will close the public comments and request a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Very nice job.
Nice job, yeah.
Yes, and Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to all.
Yes. Wouldn't that come over here?